The story of the Israel-Palestine conflict is ancient and complex, spanning millennia and involving numerous peoples and cultures. It is rooted in claims to the land that go back thousands of years, with each group laying down their own historical and spiritual stakes. For Jews, the land holds deep religious and historical significance, intertwined with their faith and cultural identity. The Hebrew Bible, also known as the Old Testament, tells the story of the Jewish people's connection to the land, a connection that is both sacred and historical. This narrative describes a covenant between God and Abraham, a foundational moment in Jewish tradition. God promised Abraham's descendants, the Israelites, the land of Canaan, a promise that has echoed through generations. This land, roughly encompassing modern-day Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza, is considered the promised land in Jewish tradition, a land of hope and divine promise.
This biblical narrative is central to Jewish identity and their claim to the land, forming a core part of their spiritual and cultural heritage. It forms the foundation for their historical and religious connection, a connection that has been maintained through centuries of diaspora and return. The stories of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the patriarchs of Judaism, are set in this land, each narrative adding layers to the Jewish connection. Their lives and experiences are intertwined with its hills and valleys, making the land a living testament to their faith and history. These stories are not just ancient history for Jews. They are living narratives that continue to shape their identity and connection to the land, influencing their present and future. And
the importance of the land is further emphasized by the story of Moses, a central figure in Jewish history. Moses led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt and towards the Promised Land, a journey filled with trials and divine guidance. This journey, known as the Exodus, is a defining moment in Jewish history, symbolizing liberation and divine promise. It symbolizes freedom, deliverance, and the fulfillment of God's promise, a narrative that continues to inspire and guide Jewish life. Though they wandered in the desert for 40 years, the Israelites never lost sight of their destination, the land promised to their ancestors, a testament to their faith and perseverance.
This deep connection to the land, rooted in the biblical narrative, is a cornerstone of Jewish identity and claims, and reinforced over centuries, is fundamental to understanding the Jewish perspective on the conflict, a perspective that is both historical and spiritual. It is a connection that transcends the physical and speaks to the spiritual core of their identity, a bond that has endured through time and adversity.
Following the stories of the patriarchs and the Exodus, the Israelites, under the leadership of Joshua, conquered Canaan and established a united kingdom. This kingdom reached its peak under the reigns of King Saul, David, and Solomon. King David captured Jerusalem and made it the capital city. King Solomon built the first temple in Jerusalem, a central place of worship for the Israelites.
The establishment of the Kingdom of Israel, and later its division into the kingdoms of Israel and Judah, marked a pivotal period. Jerusalem, with its religious and political importance, became a powerful symbol of Jewish sovereignty and identity. The first temple, housing the Ark of the Covenant, became the physical manifestation of God's presence among his chosen people.
However, this period of unity and prosperity was short-lived. Internal strife and external pressures led to the division of the kingdom. The northern kingdom of Israel was conquered by the Assyrians in 722 BCE. The southern kingdom of Judah, with Jerusalem as its capital, survived for another century. However, in 586 BCE, the Babylonians, under Nebuchadnezzar II, conquered Jerusalem. This event marked the beginning of a new and tragic chapter in Jewish history, the Babylonian exile.
The destruction of the first temple by the Babylonians was a cataclysmic event for the Jewish people. It represented not only a physical loss, but a spiritual one as well. The temple, the embodiment of God's presence, was gone. Jerusalem, their holy city and the seat of their kingdom, was in ruins.
The Babylonian conquest of Jerusalem in 586 BCE led to the destruction of the First Temple and the exile of a significant portion of the Jewish population to Babylon. This event, known as the Babylonian Exile, is a defining moment in Jewish history. It marks the beginning of the Jewish diaspora, the dispersion of Jews outside of their homeland.
The exile was a period of profound trauma and upheaval for the Jewish people. They had lost their land, their temple, and their political independence.
During their exile in Babylon, the Jewish people maintained their religious traditions and yearned to return to their homeland. Prophets like Ezekiel offered messages of hope and consolation, promising a future return to Zion, a poetic name for Jerusalem. These prophecies helped sustain the Jewish people's faith and identity during their exile.
After several decades, the Persian Empire conquered Babylon. Cyrus the Great, the Persian king, allowed the exiled Jews to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. This marked the beginning of the Second Temple period. While some Jews returned to Jerusalem, many remained scattered throughout the Persian Empire, marking the beginning of the Jewish diaspora.
The diaspora, while born out of tragedy, became a defining characteristic of Jewish history. Jewish communities emerged in various parts of the world, each developing its own unique cultural and religious traditions, while maintaining a shared connection to their ancestral homeland. The yearning for Zion, for a return to Jerusalem and a rebuilding of their ancient homeland, remained a constant theme in Jewish liturgy and religious thought.
Section 4. Under Roman rule from Judea to Palestine. This period marks a significant transformation in the history of the region, with profound implications for its people and culture.
The Second Temple period saw the Jewish people regain a measure of autonomy in their homeland. This era was marked by religious and cultural revival, with the temple serving as the focal point of Jewish life. However, their independence was short-lived. The growing power of Rome in the Mediterranean region posed a constant threat to the sovereignty of Judea. In 63 BCE, the Roman general Pompey conquered Jerusalem, bringing Judea, as the land was then known, under Roman rule. This conquest marked the beginning of a new era of foreign domination. The Romans allowed the Jews to maintain some religious and political autonomy. This arrangement was a delicate balance, as the Romans sought to integrate Judea into their vast empire while respecting local traditions. However, Roman rule was often brutal and insensitive to Jewish religious sensitivities. The imposition of Roman laws and taxes created widespread resentment among the Jewish population.
Tensions between the Jewish population and Roman authorities escalated over time. The heavy-handed tactics of the Roman governors only served to inflame the situation further. In 66 CE, a major Jewish revolt broke out against Roman rule. This uprising was fueled by a deep-seated desire for freedom and self-determination. This revolt, known as the First Jewish-Roman War, lasted for 4 years and culminated in the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE by the Roman general Titus. The loss of the temple was a devastating blow to the Jewish people. The destruction of the Second Temple was a catastrophic event for the Jewish people, even more devastating than the destruction of the First Temple. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a long period of exile and dispersion.
The Romans further solidified their control over the region. They implemented measures to prevent any future rebellions and to integrate Judea more fully into the Roman Empire. They renamed Judea to Syria, Palestina, after the Philistines, an ancient enemy of the Israelites. This renaming was a symbolic act meant to sever the historical ties between the Jewish people and their land. This renaming was a deliberate attempt to erase the Jewish connection to the land. It was part of a broader strategy to Romanize the region and diminish the influence of Jewish culture and identity. The Romans crushed another Jewish revolt, the Bar Kokhba revolt, in 135 CE. This rebellion was the last major attempt by the Jews to regain their independence. Following this revolt, the Romans expelled many Jews from Jerusalem and the surrounding areas. This expulsion was part of a broader policy of dispersing the Jewish population to prevent further uprisings.
The Roman period witnessed a significant shift in the region's demographics and religious landscape. The imposition of Roman culture and the dispersal of the Jewish population had lasting effects on the region. With the destruction of the Second Temple, the Jewish religious and national center was gone. This loss was deeply felt and had profound implications for Jewish identity and practice. The renaming of Judea to Palestine and the dispersal of the Jewish population marked a turning point in the history of the region, and its connection to the Jewish people. This period set the stage for the complex and often contentious history that would follow. Section 5. A new faith emerges, the rise of Islam and its significance in the region.
As the Roman Empire declined, a new power emerged in the Arabian Peninsula, Islam. This new faith would soon reshape the cultural, political, and religious landscape of the region. The Prophet Muhammad, born in Mecca in the 7th century CE, preached a message of monotheism and submission to the will of God, or Allah. His teachings emphasized compassion, charity, and justice. His followers, the Muslims, believe that he is the final prophet in a line of prophets that includes Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. This belief connects Islam deeply with the other Abrahamic faiths.
Islam spread rapidly throughout the Arabian Peninsula and beyond, driven by both spiritual conviction and military conquests. In 638 CE, Muslim armies conquered Jerusalem, then under Byzantine or Eastern Roman rule. This marked a significant milestone in the expansion of the Islamic Empire. For Muslims, Jerusalem holds immense religious significance. It is a city that resonates with deep spiritual meaning and historical importance. It is considered the third holiest city in Islam after Mecca and Medina. These three cities form the spiritual heart of the Islamic world. According to Islamic tradition, the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven from Jerusalem on his night journey, or Isra and Miraj. This event is celebrated annually by Muslims around the world.
The Dome of the Rock, a magnificent Islamic shrine, was built on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem in the late 7th century CE. Its stunning architecture and historical significance make it a symbol of Islamic heritage. This site is believed by Muslims to be the location of Prophet Muhammad's ascension. It stands as a testament to the profound spiritual experiences associated with the city. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, another important Islamic site, was also built on the Temple Mount during this period. It is a place of worship and pilgrimage for Muslims. These sites highlight the religious significance of Jerusalem for Muslims and their connection to the city. They are central to the Islamic faith and its history.
The arrival of Islam in the 7th century CE marked a major turning point in the history of the region. It brought new cultural, social, and political dynamics. Jerusalem, once the center of Jewish life and a holy city for Christians, became a sacred city for Muslims as well. This shared reverence for the city by three major religions adds to its unique and complex history. This overlapping of religious significance, with each faith claiming Jerusalem as their own, would have profound implications for the future of the region and contribute to the complexity of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The city's layered history continues to influence contemporary geopolitics and interfaith relations.